Now, my current employer must not see this video, so please don't share it or do anything with it. But I was in a job interview a couple weeks ago, and apparently I didn't do that bad. At least they told me that I was one of the best candidates they ever had. So this leads me to believe that I'm qualified to talk about certain topics right here, right? And this time I want to touch the topic of imperative versus declarative programming, because that was one of the interview questions that they asked me, and apparently I said something right about it. Now, I did some research afterwards and for this video right here, right? But I want to teach you something, or at least I want to show you a little bit something, so maybe it will be helpful for you too. Maybe in your next job interview you will be asked something similar. So yeah, let's start by first of all going through the theory of imperative versus declarative programming, and afterwards we're also gonna touch on some code examples so you'll actually see what it looks like. Right, so let's go. All right, so on one hand, we got imperative programming, and this is a paradigm describing how the program should do something by explicitly specifying each instruction or each statement step by step. And this makes the developers to be more concerned about with how to get an answer step by step. On the other hand, we got declarative programming, and this is a paradigm describing what the program does without it actually specifying each step by step, but it's focusing more on the end result, right? So for example, take the map function, which is basically a for loop, but you're just telling the program what to do with that map function and to give you a certain result. But we will see that in the coding examples that are coming up right now, right? So those are the two paradigms. We got imperative programming, which is actually telling the program how to do something, versus declarative programming, which is telling the computer what to do, right? And we will go and take a look at the examples right now. So let's go. All right, so here we are within VS Code, and I just spun up a very basic Next.js app. Everything is boilerplate. Everything you can see here is just boilerplate, and we're just going to add two functions to this page component right here. We're going to add an imperative function, and we're going to add the declarative function. And if I did everything correctly, then they will have the same output. Now, the example that I want to show you right here is that we will have an array of band emojis, and these are the band emojis, right? Because they're very explicit, or you can read them in another context, right? So my idea is that if you would add an array with any type of emojis, then those band emojis here should not show up. Now, for example, let me show you this right here. This is my other array. This is my emoji array right here with some non-explicit emojis right here, but we also got some of the band emojis. So at the end, I wanna just return an array just with these clean emojis right here, with the woman behind the laptop and the thumbs up, right? So first of all, we're gonna start with the imperative function. Now I'm gonna call it imperative func, and since this is TypeScript, I will add a type. This is a string array, right? So I'm using ES6 right here. That's why I declared the function like this. Now we're gonna define the filter array right here. And now within imperative function, you would add a for loop. So I'm within VS Code, so I can use this right here. Now I would have to say let I, and I will also call this R, not array, because I defined it R right here. So I will delete this const element right here. And in the next step, I will have to add an if statement. And within that if statement, I want to make sure that the element that I'm iterating through in the current iteration is not part of this band emoji array right here. So first of all, I'm gonna take my band emojis array right here. Not sure why I cannot. Oh yeah, now I get it. Now I'm gonna say index of is this part of the array that I'm passing within this function. Now, if it's not part of this array, then the index of function will return a -1. But if it should be, or if it is a part of that array, then it would return the index, right? So I'm gonna ask it if you're not part of that array right here. So if this method returns -1, then everything is okay. So then I'm gonna say filter array, and I will push my current element to that filter array, right? So I'm gonna say this right here, and at the end of the function, at the end of my for loop, I will just return my filter array. There we go. And now I can try to console log it right here, and I will say imperative function, and I will add the emojis array right here. Now once I save it, I should get this emoji and this emoji only. Now let's test it. As we can see, it did work. We only got those two emojis right here. So we got this very dirty array here, and we filtered it with this imperative function. So that's a possible way to do it. And those are 8 lines of code, which is quite reasonable. But if we did it in a declarative way, we could do this in 1 line only. And let me show you how. So first of all, we would declare this function. So it would declarative func. Now let me add the parameter that this would get, and it would get a string of arrays. Now, all we would have to do now is just call this filter method of an array. And this is just the way that declarative programming works, right? We would just call this method right here. So this would be array.filter, and now we would go and define the items, because this is TypeScript, so I would have to say that an item is a string. We would also define the index. Next up, we could do the same thing as we did up here with the imperative approach. We would say band emojis dot index of and we would have to say this would be less than 0 as well. And this is our declarative approach, right? And in best case, this should have the same output as our imperative approach up here. So let me just copy this right here, and let me add the declarative function. Also, let me comment it and say declarative. And now let's try it. And as you can see, it worked as well. So we got our imperative function up here, and we got our declarative function down there, and they both have the same output. And this is just, that's just the way that those different paradigms work. Once you got imperative, which tells you step by step what to do, we got this for loop, we got this if, and so on and so on. Or we would have the declarative approach, which is preferred in most cases because it's better to read and is way less code. So if you have the chance, or if you think about if you should go in an imperative way or a declarative way, I would suggest to go the declarative way, because it's just more elegant, and you always want to be a little bit more elegant. So yeah, I hope I could help you something with it. Maybe you can talk about this in your next job interview. And yeah, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.